Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Violence.
Like violence.
Hey, everybody.
Hello!
My name is David Bell.
My name is not. It's a different name. It's Tom Ryman.
And we just watched The Northman.
The Northman.
Revenge.
It's about Elijah Wood's character from the film North, all grown up.
I know. It's amazing to watch.
Looking to revenge himself upon Rob Reiner.
As we all are.
Yeah.
Remember, for whom you shed your last teardrop. I can feel now. I will avenge you, father! I will save you, mother! I will kill you, Fiona!
I will avenge you, father. I will save you, mother. I will kill you, Fiona.
I think that's a Rob Reiner movie. I hope so. Otherwise, that joke falls apart. I'm not going to look, though. So in my mind, now and forevermore, that joke worked perfectly.
Yeah. No, this is Robert Eggers, director of The Witch and The Lighthouse. This is his third film.
Indeed.
We have been thinking about this one for a while now.
Yeah, it's just general, just getting each other excited. Dave, off mic, Dave and I would frequently have just marathon phone calls where we just call each other up and just think about the Northman together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
Just thinking about
and
it.
It's finally
thinking about
here.
the movie. And it's finally here. It's finally upon us.
I hope I don't sound like... I'm just like... I have a sore throat, so I'm trying to preserve my voice, because I was just screaming throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, I blew my vocal cords apart watching this film.
Yeah, it's
like
here.
it's screaming like I'm at the Super Bowl.
Tom, what did you think of The Northman?
Oh, Dave.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This movie's hype as shit.
It's metal. It's real metal.
It's the metalest fucking movie.
I was thinking, so I had a thought in my head, and I decided to get rid of the thought, because when I walked out of this, I was like, I wonder what my favorite Robert Eggers film is, and I realized I don't have an answer. Does that make sense? Where
yes.
I just like them all.
They're so completely
they're
different.
Yeah, and it's like, I can't rank these. I pity the poor like soul that would have to rank these.
Yeah, I mean,
they're all a delight for very different reasons.
Nobody has to rank movies. It's just a thing we do because that's what the algorithm demands. It's not really a way to experience art.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a thing we do anyway. Like, I mean, it's fun to do. Like, what is my favorite, movie by Scorsese or whoever? And
that's the thing is other movies, it's like rank your favorite Batmans. I could say, oh, no problem at all. But this is just like, there's no way to do that with these films.
They're so different, but they're still, I mean, you can tell they're all, it feels like three different stories in the same anthology movie, if that makes sense, because there's like definite connective tissue between all three movies.
It's the Edgarverse.
It's the Edgarverse, yeah. But they're very different stories. And this movie is just hype as fuck. Yeah,
it's a Viking revenge tale. So like that alone is like, of course that's going to be metal as fuck. But
it's also
Skarsgård.
Yeah, it's the hugest Skarsgård, Alexander, who is just yoked beyond belief in this film.
Yeah, and as a kid, he's they're doing Viking stuff. They got their little Viking land, and Ethan Hawke is his father and the king, and he just returned from some sort of Viking bullshit. And they do a quick man ritual where they go to Willem Dafoe's cave and they
all pretend to be dogs together.
Yeah.
It's very fun.
I mean, if you haven't seen this movie and you like the other movies, you should probably just see it before listening to us talk about it.
You goof. It's we can't recommend it enough. Can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, of course.
If you like the other two, you will like this one.
Yeah, it's just filled with weirdos, and so Willem Dafoe is the first of many weirdos. Like this, like they're like they're like sorcerers that just like I love this world where like it feels like every king has a sorcerer, and
yeah, that's probably true.
Right, and to me that implies that like they're not all great, Like
there's definitely there's tiers of them. Yeah.
Yeah, if they're just like a regular trade, it's just like, well, how special is one sorcerer in this world? They're all just kind of just dudes who do a lot of drugs, it feels like. And so he and then the king's brother basically betrays him.
The king's brother, Dracula, from that batshit Dracula series.
That is who that is, isn't it? Wow. He betrays him. He kills Ethan Hawke. He claims Nicole Kidman, the mother, as his own. And they think his henchman like really fails at killing the child. The little Skarsgård,
really,
and just like says like, oh yeah, I totally killed him.
Oh yeah, I killed that guy. He cut my nose off, but I totally killed that kid.
I killed him real good. But instead, little Skarsgård goes into the ocean and vows to avenge his father and save his mother and kill his uncle. In that order, I believe.
Yeah,
and then he grows up to be Alexander Skarsgård, and he's just doing like Viking grunt work. He's like a Viking everyman.
Yeah.
And
he's like a Viking position player.
Yeah. They do the old Viking on a little town, and they take everybody as slaves, and well, not everybody. They sure kill a lot of people.
They burn a whole lot of kids.
Yeah.
Because we can't do much with these kids. We can't
what are they
sell
gonna do?
these kids.
They're gonna seek revenge. They saw Conan. Yeah. They're like, no,
Well, and that's
we're not gonna put them on the swole wheel. We're gonna kill them.
They also saw this movie. Like that's part of what I really like about this movie is that it is a Viking revenge tale, but it's also like a very modern revenge tale in that it's about the cycle of violence and breaking the cycle of violence.
Yeah, but I also like that he gets his spoilers. He gets his revenge, and it's awesome.
It's fucking sweet.
Yeah, I like that they don't deny him. This is an old boy. They're just like, oh yeah, he's gonna get that revenge, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah,
like there is a little bit of breaking the cycle of violence.
It's gonna be naked in a volcano.
Yeah, it sure is. I love that. I love when he kills the family and the guy's like, all right, meet me at the gates of hell.
Yep.
And I want one of them to be like, why? And the other one to be like, because it's awesome. Yeah.
Because it fucking rules. That's
right.
Why.
Yeah.
That's
what we're going to fight in this fucking farm?
If we're going to have our final battle, let's go to the volcano. I mean, we can see it we can walk there.
Yeah.
Like, look, it's just right there.
Do you want to ride share there?
Yeah.
You want to split a cab?
Just like look outside. You see, there you go. Yeah. You see it. Yeah. So just meet me there. And then he drags dead Nicole Kidman out of the house.
Right. But yeah, he just drags her away. He's pillaging, and he gets a Bjork vision.
He sure does. He just eyes full of Bjork.
Yep, Bjork shows up and she's like, hey, shouldn't you be doing your revenge? He's like, oh, right.
I love this character of Alexander Skarsgård, whatever his name was, Viking dude.
Yeah.
Because
I can't even begin to guess the characters' names in this.
Oh, no, I caught some of them, but like most of them are just like, well, I know the actor.
Yeah, it's too much. There's a lot happening on the screen. I'm not going to remember names.
Also, most names are growled at you, so I'm not catching it.
This is so I was never confused, but this is definitely one of those films that when I rewatch it with captions, I'll be like, oh, so that's what they said.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's definitely a couple of scenes where I'm like, I caught like 20% of that, but I can infer
what's going on.
There's enough context clues.
It's kind of like The Witch in that they speak in very old-timey language too.
not as
not as much as The Witch.
Not as extreme as The Witch. No, there's some there's some non-English in it that I'm not entirely sure if it was Icelandic or Norwegian or Swedish, but it's mostly just in normal English, a little old-timey. But anyway, what I was going to say is I love that he just does not question his visions, and that's part of the movie. Part of the theme of the movie is the idea of destiny, because he gets this vision, doesn't question it. He's like, oh, I'm gonna fight and die in battle, and it's gonna be in the field of fire. So I know that's when it's gonna happen. So I can't kill my uncle until we get to the field of fire. So it's about like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and then how that relates to the cycle of violence and vengeance, and how it's just like, the wages of sin are death, et cetera, et cetera. It's all that shit. All that shit.
Yeah,
but I do love that as soon as he gets his visions, he's like, well, that's what I got it. Like, he is completely never doubts them. No. He's just like, yep, that is what I have to do.
Yeah, Bjork shows up and tells me to kill someone. I'm like, I guess I'm going to kill someone.
Tells me I have to avenge my father in a fucking field of fire. I'm like, well, yes, obviously. Thank you, Bjork. Thank you, Bjork, for setting me right.
Speaking of, so you're talking about the meaning of this film.
Yeah,
I do have an opinion on Robert Eggers, and I'm wondering if you share this opinion. Do you find his films complex in the sense of what happens in the films?
No,
neither do I. And I think I'm scared for him. I think it might be like, because he made The Lighthouse, which I also feel like is not a complex film.
The ending of The Lighthouse is complex.
Yes, but I think he might accidentally Nolan himself, Christopher Nolan, where Christopher Nolan did a couple of films that were like twisty, and then like everybody held him to that standard all the time. You know what I mean? Where like you'd get these like big things of like, what's the secret meaning of Interstellar or Prestige, and it's like, I don't think they're actually that secret, the meanings. Like, I think it's all pretty straightforward. It's done, and like I feel like he might, because I saw positive reviews of this movie that were like, yeah, I mean, it was kind of straightforward for him, and it's like, I don't think his movies aren't straightforward.
Right, like
they're always straightforward.
Yeah, The Witch is incredibly straightforward.
Yeah.
I mean, there's subtext in it, like there is in this film.
Of course. Like, and it's like any good art, you know?
And The Witch similarly deals with the idea of destiny versus a self-fulfilling prophecy. Where they spoilers for The Witch, but she's sort of forced into being they just keep telling her she's a witch until she's like, all right, fine, now I'm a witch.
I'll sure, fuck it.
I do want to live deliciously.
Yeah, who doesn't? Yeah, especially in that day, like in the fucking woods.
Yeah.
But yeah, it I think there's a lot of layers to his work and meaning, but yeah, the stories themselves aren't terribly complex.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
I would call his movies more dense than complex. And dense isn't necessarily even the right word. It's just that there's a couple, at least in The Witch, I mean, well, actually, in all three films, there's at least a couple of layers of text, and none of it's terribly complicated. There's just a couple of layers of it.
Yeah, he just really makes a meal of this shit.
Yeah,
like that's what makes it good. Is that this is just I shouldn't say just, but this is essentially a revenge film.
Yeah,
and I think revenge films often think about the cycle of violence. That's a common theme, and so it's like it's no different. It's just like, most revenge films don't have, Willem Dafoe making people bark like dogs. And
sometimes I will say that the trailers, at least for The Northman, really made it seem like it was going to be even more straightforward than it is, like Death Wish, where it's just like it's not, where it doesn't even approach the question of like, should I be doing this? Like,
right? It's like, no. Yeah, there's one moment where he's like, I don't know if I should be doing this. And he's like, wait a second. No, of course I should be doing this. I'm going to jump in this water and go kill this guy. I love that scene. when he goes to leave her with her father from the witch.
Yeah, but that's not him abandoning that premise. That's him.
No, not at all.
Him.
It's the idea that he knocked her up, and he's like, "Well, they're going to keep coming for us.
This will continue
Which, again,
until I break it."
That's an action movie trope. Like it's all. That's what I mean. Is it's all the same.
Yeah.
Beats of a action revenge movie. Like this could be a Bruce Willis movie where he's a cop, but it's like in terms of the broad strokes, it's just done so much better.
Yeah,
because there's nothing complex about that realization of like, oh, I need to finish my destiny.
I think
to protect you and the kids.
I think the complexity was the understanding that there's not really a villain. Like it's when he learns that like
I would argue there's one villain.
Nicole Kidman?
Yeah.
You're right. But I was just saying like when he realizes that his dad kind of sucked, like his perception of what happened was very, very different than the actuality of it. Like his uncle's not really all that bad. His uncle's not really let me rephrase that. His uncle is no different from him.
Yeah. No, that's what it is. It's everybody sucks.
Yeah. We're all the same.
Except for maybe Anya Taylor-Joy, but we don't know. She might also do terrible things.
She's just trying to get fucking by.
She's just trying to fucking get the hell out of there. Yeah. But yeah, there's this moment. So also, I was surprised. I don't know if you were surprised by this. I was surprised by the scale of this movie in that I actually thought, and again, not a bad thing, it was smaller scale than I thought. I didn't realize there was going to be so much of it is just on a farm.
It's very small scale. Yeah, and I think that's the first...
The trailer made it out to be like this epic, and it's not an epic. It's like a very small...
It starts big and then shrinks down, and I think that's both... it makes for a better movie, and I think it's also thematically appropriate. Because it's like
also nice and cheap.
It's nice and cheap.
But it's just quite good too. So.
Yeah, and it sort of it works thematically as well because it's like you when you dedicate your entire existence to actively hating someone else, you are deliberately shrinking your own world.
Yeah.
So it works on that level. It doesn't have to, but it does.
Yeah. But it's not like an epic tale of revenge. What happens is quite quickly he finds him, because I thought there was going to be this whole like I'm gonna fucking go on this wild adventure to find this guy, but he just hears like the people at the village they killed everybody and they took slaves. They just hear that some of them are going to him, and he's like, oh no shit, and so he brands himself a slave, sneaks aboard the slave ship, and then just like growls his way into becoming one of his slaves. And then there's a period of the film that's basically just him kind of waiting for the right time. And as you said, he's like, no, I was told by Bjork it'll be on a volcano.
Right.
So like, obviously it's not now, but what I can do while I'm waiting,
he Count of Monte Cristo's him.
Fuck with him.
Yeah. He really, he sort of becomes, he's not really a Iago because he's not like pushing anyone to destroy their own lives, but he's like,
no,
he just starts gaslighting his uncle and his uncle's family and his uncle's entire like fiefdom or whatever it is.
Yeah. He like doses his men.
Anya Taylor-Joy does that.
Well, they're working together.
Right, they're working together.
They meet up and she's like, oh, you're strong, but I can fuck the brains of men. She says it more elegantly than that.
But it is...
And so it's just them, gaslighting them.
But it truly is, like, the essence of that scene is, oh, you're going to kill him? Oh, dope. You want to team up? And he's like, yeah, obviously. Like, all right, awesome. It's like, it might as well have been the fucking handshake from Predator, that scene.
Yeah.
It's like, really all right, we're teaming up.
That's what happens is they team up, and of course they become an item as well.
I love it. That's the extent of their romance too. They have that later scene, and she basically tells him, like, well, you want to have sex, right? He's like, I guess. He's like, yeah, let's do it. Okay, we're doing that now. Like, it's just, they're just like, so like, well, obviously we're going to team up. It's like, we're the two hottest people in Northman land. You want a bone? Well, yes, obviously
like,
I want a bone.
Yeah. You want to fuck on the woods? Yeah, I want to fuck on the woods. Let's do this.
Well, she basically like, he says something like, oh, I think he like briefly questions, like he doesn't phrase it exactly like what are you doing, but that's what he says. And she's like, well, you don't think I like helped you out for nothing, right? No, let's get down to business.
Yeah. I need some of that Skarsgård meat. Yeah. Yeah, pump a couple babies in
It's like really similar to how he just accepts his vision. She's just like, oh, we're teaming up now. Yeah, obviously. all right, so we're going to do this now. He's like, sure.
Well, it works really well because he's like, he's a Viking dude.
Yeah.
He does, his prospects aren't like huge. She's basically the brains. Like he's just being told what to do most of the movie by either Bjork, various visions, or her. So they gaslight him, and then Nicole Kidman is like, you think that's mind fucking?
Yeah.
I'll show you mind fucking. And so the reveal is that he confronts his mom to tell her, like, I'm here, I'm your son. I didn't die, I'm going to save you. And she's like, oh, God, this is embarrassing. So I planned that. I had your dad killed. When you saw me being dragged away screaming, I was laughing. You misunderstood. That made me want to rewatch that scene. And she's like, yeah, no, I totally, your dad sucked. I was a slave that your dad had sex with and had a kid, and I was basically held hostage by this family. Like, and that's the reveal of like, oh yeah, your father was a rapist. Like everybody sucks.
Yeah.
And then she's like, but if you do kill your uncle, maybe you and I can fuck?
Yeah, she was basically letting him
right off.
Yeah, she's basically letting him know exactly how much she cares about him, which is not at all. It's like, look, man,
right?
Your shitty dad, your shitty people sort of forced me into this life that I hate. And the only way I can get by is just by laying low and just accepting that, sure, I'm your wife now, I guess, because you killed my husband. Like, that's basically what she says.
Yeah, and I said earlier she's the only villain. She's not even a villain for that reason.
She's not a villain. She's not at all.
She just acts very villainous in her role because she's like, like you said, she doesn't really have a choice.
Yeah.
And so she runs into this other guy who's like, I'm going to save and avenge you. And she's like, fuck you. Fuck all of you. And so, like, there's sort of a... I would say like a similarity between her and the Anya Taylor-Joy's character, where it's like you can see her going in this same direction, where like the uncle has the hots for her, and it's again about that cycle. Yeah. And Nicole Kidman is like this person who's just broken by this bullshit, and like so she's in a position where she's really very.
Oh, go ahead and finish. But I was just gonna say I wouldn't really call her broken.
Well, I think she's driven kind of mad. She's villainous.
She's crazy, yeah, and she is villainous. But it's like it's
like that's kind of where her journey took her.
She's hardened to the point of callousness by it,
right?
And it's just because of the nature of what she had to do to survive.
Right. It's this idea of like. He thought, oh, my poor mom was in love with my dad, and then she was taken away.
Yeah, no, she wasn't.
No, she was already a slave.
Yeah,
she's been a slave her whole fucking life.
Yeah, she was your dad's property, and the additional reveal is that she loves his uncle.
Right.
Like she loved him.
He was taking her away from it.
Yeah, he was doing the same thing that Skarsgård thinks he's doing. Like he was
right.
Liberating his mom so that they and their family, the family that she actually wanted to have, can be free.
Right, and they do a good job at showing like he has a kid, they have a kid now, and it's basically the same situation. Oh yeah, they have the shitty older kid.
Yeah, the shitty older kid. Yeah.
Yeah, with like the dirt stash, like the real and then they have the young fancy boy who's basically young Skarsgård in that same position where he's the king's son, he's all fancy, he's learning to become a man, and he doesn't know that his mom was also, or he might not know that his mom was part of this cycle, like it's all the same. Which is it's neat. You're right, it is about breaking that cycle. And more in the sense that Anya Taylor-Joy, like, squeezes out of that
Needs
cycle.
to get away from it. Yeah, it's basically like the only way to break the cycle is for all of us to die.
Yeah, exact,ly.
You basically got to salt the earth of this here tree.
Yeah, you're not on anybody's radar. You can get out of here clean. I, on the other hand, have to finish this horrible fucking sequence of events. So they gaslight him for a while, but then, when he tells his mom and she reveals that, then he's sort of on the hunt, or they're on the hunt for him, and that doesn't last very long. Because they're like, well, let's start killing the slaves, see which one's working. So Skarsgård just shows right up.
Mm-hmm.
That's after he kills the oldest son.
He sure does. He stabs his fucking ass off in his
and he
bed.
steals his heart.
Yeah.
And then he like holds his heart hostage,
Sure
which I
does.
assume that's just important because they like they tie him up and they beat him and they're like, where the hell is his heart?
Yeah, it's you can infer pretty clearly that it's important. It's important to them in some ritual way. Yeah,
it's like clearly he wants that heart.
Yeah, clearly it's very important that his son's body still have its heart.
Because then they give him the old funeral, and they're like, I guess we won't have the heart.
No, he gets it back. Remember, does he get it back? Yeah, Skarsgård shows up and says, "I'll trade you," because he's about Uncle Dracula is about to kill Anya Taylor-Joy, so he's like, I'll trade you the heart for her, and then he lets her go, so she runs off, and then he gets taken captive, and they take the heart back.
Oh, why were they beating him? I thought they were still looking for the heart.
They were beating him because when they took him captive, he says to Uncle Dracula, he says, how do you know that's actually your son's heart and not some dog I killed?
Okay, so it is actually that's
as far as we know.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, as far as we know. So I guess
it seemed like they were like, where the fuck's the heart? You said, okay, so this isn't the heart, and then they're like, nah, it's the heart.
Yeah, I guess they just went ahead with the ceremony with whatever heart they had, and were just like hoping it was good enough for Odin. I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. It felt like. And again, this doesn't feel like a inconsistency. It felt like they were unsure about the heart. They really wanted the heart, but they were like, you know what? We got to pull the ripcord here, heart or not. We'll put this dog heart.
Yeah.
Or maybe the ritual they do, because they do a pretty hardcore death ritual. Maybe they're like, maybe this will make up for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. So he gets rescued by crows, which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the tone of the movie.
It's surreal. Yeah, there's supernatural stuff. There's the supernatural stuff in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a little like...
the only... Because a lot of it's like visions. Like he fights that zombie, but then he actually doesn't.
Yeah. It's a little bit like The Green Knight, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so too. The Crows... What's weird is The Crows is the only one where it's like... Everything else you could kind of say like, that's a vision. The Crows like step in. But again, it's a magical world. Like it is a world of magic.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
She literally casts a couple of spells.
Right. We aren't to believe that these visions aren't real. Like they're definitely real.
Yeah.
Like Bjork is definitely floating around. God, I would pay so much money for that prop of Willem Dafoe's decayed head.
Yep.
That was so good.
His little zombie head.
Yeah. With those terrifying eyes. Where he's like, you cut out his eyes. So I put new eyes in there. Anywho, that's when he confronts his mother and she attacks him, so he murders her, and then he murders his little brother. Although it's more of like the murdering the little brother was like swatting a fly, where like he was just jumped on him and he was like, "Yeah, get off!" And then the kid's dead, and he's like, "Whoop!" He
does stab Alexander Skarsgård about 14 times.
Yeah, I would kill that kid too.
Yeah.
But he doesn't like directly, like he definitely isn't, he would have killed the kid either way. I just love how it's like he flings him off of him while with his sword hand.
Yeah.
And like basically just cuts the kid open while flinging him off of him. It's some pretty good violence.
Yeah.
And that's
basically it. I mean,
that's when fucking Dracula's
Uncle Dracula walks in. He's like, all right,
he's like, you want to go up to that fucking volcano?
Meet me at the volcano. He's like, hell
they strip down naked.
Let's go fight on Dante's Peak.
Yeah, they just strip naked and fight next to lava.
They have a naked sword fight in a field of lava, Dave.
Yep, it's some real Obi-Wan versus Anakin shit.
But like way cooler.
But like good. Yeah, but like good. Yeah, it's a real good grounded fight. There's a lot of like wonders and shit in this because of course there are.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of wonders that I suspect were also like hidden with like fake cuts. But it's all very beautiful and it's all very like well done. And I bet the stunt work in this was really complicated and phenomenal. And then they kill each other and he sees the gates of Valhalla and a Valkyrie. And and then the movie ends.
And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He gets carried to Valhalla by a Valkyrie.
I would really argue this is the most straightforward of his films.
Yeah.
Yeah. in terms of the sequence of events.
I don't know. I think the witch is pretty straightforward too.
Yeah, but I do think it's slightly less. Yeah, they're 1-1. Again, we're not comparing these films, but like this one was a very straight line as it intended to be. You know. He gets his fucking revenge. Beautiful film.
Yeah,
sweet. It's real gnarly. Lots of good fucking violence and action.
There's some top shelf violence.
Yeah, I would argue this movie doesn't aim to upset. There's like sexual violence in it, but it's mostly implied.
It's almost entirely implied. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're Vikings, so it's like you know what you're going into.
And it's
but I appreciate that Robert Eggers is like, you don't need to see it.
No.
Like, it's
necessary.
upsetting already. And so he's never going for shock. Like, he's never going for edginess. He's just kind of doing his thing, you know?
Yeah.
I think what I appreciate about him is that he wants his films to be, this is a weird description, but joyful. He wants them to be entertaining films. He doesn't want them to necessarily be upsetting or the types of films that people are like, oh, I can't watch that ever again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He talks about The Lighthouse and he was like, I wanted to make a more fun film. So I made The Lighthouse. And it's like, oh, okay. That's your idea of fun, huh?
That's fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
But it is fun. I get it. That's a fun film.
Yeah.
It's watching two actors just be out of their goddamn minds.
It's delightful.
So, yeah, and I think with this one, he's like, I just want to make a really fucking metal film. And I'm not trying to be edgy. I'm just I want I want a shot of a tree covered in corpses. And it's like, yeah, and there it is. There's
obviously,
that tree covered in corpses.
Rules.
Yeah. I want Bjork to show up. And he gets it. Gets what he wants.
Yeah. All this shit and more is in the Northman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
he's
like that. The only reason he has the implied sexual violence. I think
you can't not have that.
You can't not have it because it needs to be
in this story.
And you need to be reminded right off the bat that Skarsgård's not like a good guy.
No one's good in this. There's no good people in this film.
Like these are Viking raiders.
Yeah, Willem
Dafoe. And Anya Taylor-Joy is not trying to hurt anybody. She was just trying to live her life, and they came and abducted her into slavery.
Yeah, she's a good person.
Yeah.
Well, it's also about like that idea of like a child is good, but that child is being taught to not be good. You know, like it's that idea of like people, this world is turning people bad.
Yes.
So like someone like Anya Taylor-Joy, it's like she has a chance to not be a monster. And that's leaving the cycle of violence. Because, Nicole Kidman is clearly part of that cycle as well by the time he gets to her.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's very much about this idea of like, they're all bad. And they all kind of need to just stay over there. How great would this have been if they did the Holy Grail ending, where we learn
where everybody
that this
just
is
gets arrested?
Yeah, it's just like modern Iceland on some island.
The village ending, you mean?
Yeah, the village ending. Cops show up and they're like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" Just naked and dead and next to a volcano.
We're playing Vikings.
What
a film, Dave.
Yeah, what a film.
I don't know
it's definitely. No, I was just gonna say it's just weird how he can balance that, where it's like nobody is good, but like it's not a movie that you need to watch and like root for a protagonist necessarily. It's more of like kind of like The Lighthouse, where it's this spectacle.
Yes.
Where it's more about watching this spectacle, and you're like, I'm not really rooting for anybody here. I'm just can't believe what I'm seeing. It's so beautifully done, and so like brutal and beautiful and like weird, and so you can't look away, and you don't really need like a hero, because it's just not about that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we still like Skarsgård's still the protagonist, but yeah, he's not like he's an anti-hero for sure. Yeah,
they make it that he doesn't do anything directly bad.
No, but he is of that world.
Yeah, he's aiding these raids where they're literally putting all the kids in a barn and lighting it on fire.
Yeah, well, Dave, those kids are worthless, Dave. They can't get any money for those kids. What are they going to do with those kids?
Well, you could. You're right. You're right in the moment. It's just they're not thinking ahead where it's like you just hold on to those kids for a while. They become adults that you can then sell as slaves, right? Like that's how you. But like I get it because they're not. It's very similar to like in Minecraft, you can go to village and it's like, yeah, I could like trade with these villagers or I could just steal all their stuff and keep going.
Way easier to do that.
It's way easier and it depends on what you're up to. If you're not settling down there, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to, what are we going to do with all these kids? We're not going to put them on a boat.
Yeah, I don't need
We barely have enough room and food.
Yeah, what am I going to do with these kids?
Put them in a barn.
Get these kids out of here, Dave.
Yeah. Get these kids out of here.
Get out of here.
Stick them in the barn.
Yeah.
Does he kills two guys and makes a little horsey out of them?
Yep. He sure does, Dave. He makes a little corpse sculpture. Incredible.
That was amazing.
Incredible. And I love that whole scene. Like the Uncle Dracula's oldest kid is like stomping around being like, who did this? And I'm like, I'm just going to take a wild guess at the guy who's like gigantic and swole, who looks like he could like make two adult men into a horse sculpture.
There's a few moments where they have to ignore that he's Alexander Skarsgård.
Right.
When he first finds all the slaves, he's like, I don't have any use for these slaves. And it's like, really? Not the big guy?
Right, they even do a thing where like,
swole Skarsgård guy?
Are you strong, slave? It's like, I don't know. Look at him.
Yeah.
Looks like a professional wrestler.
Yeah, you look at him and it's just like, I'm sorry, are you a Viking pretending to be a slave?
I feel like this guy's
because it really seems like you are.
I think this dude's a Viking.
Yeah. He just like cuts his hair a little shorter.
There's a couple of really cool performance things he does, and one of the main things I noticed is that he does not change his posture.
No.
So
he's a simple guy. He's a little dummy.
They show it in the trailer. There's just a fucking bodacious hype as hell metal shot where he knocks some dude off his horse with his little axe. And then he just stalks down the side of this village and pulls this other sword out, and he's just ripped as hell. And he's got this like kind of sloped forward gait, and he just walks like he walks like he's about to fucking fight someone, and he never stops. Like that's his posture the entire movie. Even when he's like hiding as a slave, he's still carrying himself in that same way. And I thought it was a really cool performance choice to do.
He's really not trying to hide much.
He's not blending in that much.
When they play Viking Quidditch, and he just kills a guy from headbutting him to death.
Yeah.
And it's like, the king should look at that and be like, I think there might be something concerning about that one.
Yeah.
I think maybe he's not he's like fucking ripped. Yeah.
That's what made that.
He's eating well.
That huge dude when they played Viking lacrosse, that huge dude was the third and longest running mountain from Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
So he literally kills the mountain just in seconds.
With his head.
Which is very, very funny if you were a Game of Thrones fan, because the mountain was a problem for that 10 years of a show.
Right.
And then Alexander Skarsgård just headbutts him to death immediately.
And then again, Father from the Witch, looking like he works at a tattoo parlor.
Yeah, looking like a cool pirate.
They really gussied him up.
Yeah, everybody from The Witch was in this, I think. I don't know if the kid...
I saw the mom. I thought I saw the mom.
The mom was like the head house slave, basically. Yeah.
It's all these folks, they all just like hang out together, it feels like, with like, the Green Knight people as well. Mm-hmm. Like, they're just chilling. I mean, this writer also wrote Lamb.
Word.
And the co-writer, and Dancer in the Dark, which is why going into this movie, I was like, I think this is going to be a real bummer. And so, like, it's weird to come out of a movie where, as we've described, a bunch of kids are burnt alive in a barn. And I'm just like, that wasn't so depressing.
Right. And the main character dies, but like, I wasn't sad or upset about that either. Because it's like, well, of course he's got to go to Valhalla.
Yeah, that's the point.
That's all he wants.
It's very metal. It's
it's metal as
like
shit.
Metalocalypse, where it's like, no, this has to be like it's the same. I don't know. I regard it with almost the same mentality where it's like, yeah, it's got to be brutal and bloody and like everybody dies and horrible things happen because that's just like, it's not metal otherwise.
Yeah.
Like that's, you got to do that. So like, yeah, it really delivers on that.
Yeah, I came home from the theater and just paced around my house for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just thinking about this movie.
Yeah. It's funny how, again, like his movies, as dense as they are, as weird as they are, I never come out of them feeling like I need to think about them.
No.
They're very, like, they give me the same joy as like Mad Max Fury Road or like a good Marvel film where it's like, it's just kind of fun, which is weird, again, considering how bleak his films can be.
It's like the difference between a fast food cheeseburger and like a cheeseburger at like a really nice cheeseburger restaurant. You know what I mean? Like it's still a cheeseburger, but like this is just so much more to chew on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of putting it. As opposed to a cheeseburger where they're like, we're going to put a bunch of like fancy, look how fancy we are with our cheeseburger. We're going to put gold on it. It's like, motherfucker, I just wanted a cheeseburger. You're trying to make it something it's not.
Yeah.
Like Robert Edgers like is very much like, I'm making movies.
Yeah.
Like I'm making some wild fucking
and they're
movies,
cool
but they are movies.
Like they're like you hear the premise and you're like, that sounds like a cool movie. And then he makes them in this incredibly unique way.
Yeah. Yeah. And like it again, it isn't to say they aren't layered and they don't have like, you know, when you rewatch them, you realize more and more about what he's trying to say. It's just that they're not trying to be necessarily smarter than the audience. No. They're not trying to be like, ooh, what did this all mean? Like, I love The Green Knight, which is also a fairly straightforward film, but I would say that one presents itself a little weirder, a little more like a puzzle.
That one's a little more complicated.
Yeah, this isn't trying to be a puzzle. It's not trying to seem like this high art that is like, oh, if you don't get it, then, you know, you're not as smart as me. It's just kind of having fun.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that The Green Knight is trying to be smarter than its audience. It's just,
I wouldn't say that either. I was saying it's leaning more in that direction, but not that much more.
And the whole idea is, film's a visual medium, so it's like show, don't tell. So how do I show that is what's being experienced without the characters just flat out saying it, unless we make it a musical. So that's, like, more often than not, that's what like a movie that's like a quote unquote puzzle is trying to do. I mean, there is plenty of examples of filmmakers who make movies then just from that mentality of, well, if you can't figure it out, then you're just not smart enough. Well, no, that's not why most people make movies that are complex. At least I hope not.
I hope not. Yeah, we bring up The Green Knight because this definitely has Green Knight vibes, but not in the way it's made. More of like, it looks like it's a very similar world.
Its vibe like and its execution are similar.
Gritty kingdom look and like, a
gritty fantasy, like dark fantasy.
Gritty fantasy, yeah, for sure. But,
this movie fucking rules, films. Dave. It fucking rules.
It rules. We have been, so last year was good too, but this year of movies, like there's been some stinkers, but for the most part, I'm loving this year for movies. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
We got the Batman, we got Everything Everywhere All at Once, we got this. There's other ones too.
Yeah, but mostly
there were other movies. But mostly those. I don't know. And then there's a bunch of ones coming out that look really good. There's that fucking Nicolas Cage one that I'm sure we'll do next week. It's just, I don't know. It's a joyful year for movies.
It's looking
that just makes me
pretty
feel good. It really makes me feel good because there's been some bad years lately, in my opinion, and it's a sign of like, it's not a decline. It's just like, there's always some bad years, and then there's some really good years. And this right now, this year could be nothing but stinkers from here on, and it still will average into a very good year for movies, I think. Fucking Northman, go see it.
Yeah.
Bring a horn. Bring a horn to drink from.
Yeah, bring a horn of mead.
Yeah.
If you can.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be, like, it could be like a tuba, if that's all you got.
It could be a horn, yeah. It could be a brass instrument, sure.
Yeah. Do people, So this is unrelated. We're not even. We can stop at any time. I just want to bring this up. Do people cheer for the Nicole Kidman AMC ad in your theater?
No.
Oh, do you go to a Cinemark, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so they wouldn't.
No.
Whenever that ad, people like ironically cheer for it now, which is very funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
The movies are back, Dave.
Movies are back. Also, like, do they really need to advertise like 4 times for the theater that you're in before you see the movie?
Seems excessive.
It seems excessive. It's getting out of hand. AMC.
A little bit.
Yeah. Sorry, I just needed to get that out.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Northman, what else? Sorry, I'm doing that thing in my mind where I was like, is there anything else I wanted to bring up? But I don't think so. That raid sequence is fucking great. That's all. When they raid that village, and it's made to look like a oneer, and just some of the stunt work is phenomenal.
Throughout the movie, there's a couple of sequences that are done that way. It's just a great film. Really awesome movie.
Great film. Some great prop headless horses.
Yep.
Like they had to commission somebody. Yeah, they're like, we're going to need multiple decapitated horses for this film.
Listen, this movie is metal as fuck, so obviously you know what that means. And the prop master's like 2 decapitated horses coming right up.
Yeah.
Are you going to need a horse sculpture made out of 2 dead guys? Absolutely, I will need that.
Yeah. Yes. Now that you mention it, I was going to ask for that, yeah. God, little horsey men. That was great. 2 little guys making up a horsey.
Just making him a horsey.
Yeah. Beautiful.
You might ask how that's possible. The answer is a lot of chopping.
A lot of chopping and like I feel
and ropes.
That must have taken him all night.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been so funny if they're sitting there like, who did this? And he's in the background just covered in blood. Yeah. With like some twine. Because he'd have to like wipe the blood off too. Like that's
He just jumped in the creek, Dave, and washed himself off.
Yeah, dare I say that is an impressive feat for one man, one night to make a body sculpture.
It's genuinely awe-inspiring, yes.
Yeah, like he really would have had to rush, is all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that thing where when you watch a horror movie and you know who the killer is, and you realize like, oh, they're really running around, aren't they? Like... they have to work. They're like, they jump out here, they kill someone, then they have to like sprint like half a mile over here.
It's when you
kill this person.
Yeah, it's like when you sit and think about the amount of driving that the Invisible Man has to do in the newest Invisible Man. Like he's doing a lot of driving back and forth between places.
Right. It's not that it's unrealistic. It's just like you don't think about it. And then when you do, you're like, they're really working their ass off.
A lot of work, yeah.
Yeah. That's tiring.
We can be done.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
We have a Patreon. Patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. If you go on there for just $5 a month, you get access to a bunch of exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and Spiel Boys. We also have a tier where you can watch movies with us every Friday night. There's a tier where you can commission your very own custom podcasts. There's a tier where you get a Hypecast shout out and a mug. There's a lot going on. We're always trying to find new things. We got some stuff on the horizon that we'll be adding slowly. That's it. The end.
Yeah. The end. We also have a store. Head over to GameFlyUnemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store, where we have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs you can get on t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all kinds of things. So check that out.
Absolutely.
Goofs.
You fucking goofs.
You goofy ass horse sculpture. Dave.
God, I want that horse
Get
sculpture.
in the barn with the rest of the useless children. Oh, what a film!
Burning kids.
Mm-hmm.